and ever since I've been practicing. But I also like to teach art, so I took the teaching appointment at Takoradi Technical University, the then Takoradi Polytechnic, and I've been teaching for close to 9 years.
9 years. Interesting.
And yeah, for the period that we've been teaching art,
Yeah.
our students complete,
Yeah.
and then they don't have a space to exhibit.
Yeah.
And that has been one of my concerns that I need to address. And that is why I established a gallery, Dozie Art Gallery, on the Liberation Road. I appreciate it. The systems and the structures in Ghana will grow, because now we don't have art critics, we don't have a couple of things that help the art business to grow. But in time, I know about 5 to 10 years, the system will change. Because I came here in the last 9 years, we've trained over 600 people. And
Not all.
yes, about 5% of the whole may be practicing, but when they venture for the next 5 years, they fizzle out because there are no structures to support them. And so these are the bits and pieces. But coming back to my art, I feel there is much to be learned in nature. And in art classes, you come across composition and all that, and everything is perfectly fit in the natural space. So the more you paint, the more you get inspiration to understand the secret of life. So, like the painting I have here, they have a natural representation of what is in the sea, but that is not the idea. The idea is about the composition, the underlying colors, the way color contrast between the existing rocks, which is darker, and then the sea waves. And I've done I've worked in different styles. I don't restrict myself to a particular mode of this thing, because I think that like you want to express yourself, you have to find modes of that expression. And so if I feel I want to express myself in this mood, then I move towards that avenue. But I have other modes that in time when we visit the gallery, you see.
How long does it take you a particular series? For instance, you're going natural, working on the sea, nature, rocks and all that. How long do you stay in that particular space before you move to something else?
Yeah, like this particular mode, we started working around it the last 2 months, a couple of them on the seascape, just to study. And I took some students on under my care whilst we were studying. So I still want to explore the possibility of getting to know. And it helps me to, the more I do that, it helps my teaching. Because there are certain things that are written in books that you cannot hear, you have to experience. So these are the very basic tenets that I want to express in my art. Our museum has its own space and limitations, but the one and only gallery which is making the waves in Ghana now, Artist Alliance, is virtually choked.
There is also a new space with the Lebanese guy who is doing something.
Yeah,
and you have some other springing up. You had the Loom back in the day and all that. So all these galleries that have been, it doesn't mean that they are the only ones that can exist as galleries, which is why you started your own gallery. What are the challenges you found, managing artists, in your space? Be truthful about this.
Oh. Yes, the first point is that every artist wants to have his first canvas sold at a very high price. That is the first point. The business of art is different from the practice, because whilst you are practicing, you come across the fact that you have this fantasy of selling big, which nobody will fault you for. But in the space of being a gallery owner, I've come across the fact that you have to pay tax, you have to pay rent, you have to pay the gallery attendant, and at the end of the month, if you don't make money, you get my point. If you don't make money to make sure that all these areas are done, you are likely to fold up.
Exactly.
And once the gallery space is not yours, and it is the landlord thinks that you are making money, probably he is likely also to increase his rent, which may, one way or the other, also try to move you out of business if the purchases are not coming as it should. So then the gallery owner will be tilting towards what sells. You see, what the client will prefer, instead of looking at probably genuine art, as in what the artist want to express. But you see, these days people pick art with various reasons. One could be an interior designer wants or a decorator wants a certain kind of color scheme of art to match his upholstery and all that. And it may not necessarily be the spirit of the work, but rather color scheme. Other people may also look at it from the concept behind the image. And other people may look at composition. And then the last group, those who really understand art, will pick the art because the artist has technique and then the freedom to express himself artistically. And the last group that I found on the list is those who want gifts for friends, so they come in for portraits and all that. So these are the basic things that as a gallery owner you come across. But in all these, it's a learning curve. But over 2 years, if you are still not making profit, you like to consider your space and all that. But I think now it is not about the physical space, it's about the internet, which will be gravitating towards that space. We are making plans to make sure that we get most of our works online, which will help project the gallery and make a lot of sales. And probably it will help the artists who are up and coming.
When you talk about the internet as a selling point, the web has always been an opportunity for a lot of artists to showcase their works, to sell their works, show their process, meet people, build clientele, and all that. The internet has made things easy, but the older artists didn't find this a welcoming situation, with their art. They have built a name through time.
Okay.
So to them, the internet is not as important, yet important. And the younger ones who have found this as a new marketing tool are not spending enough time on their works. So with that kind of thing happening, we don't find seasoned artists again, doing serious work, grounded work for posterity, rather for the next banku to be eaten. So when we start looking at these kind of things, you now have a lot of artists copying those who are making waves already, and you now see similarities, or would I call it outright copy, because they feel their own works are not moving. What kind of advice would you give younger artists who are dabbling into things like that? Because I'm sure in your gallery you've had experiences like that once, twice, where someone will come in with a work that's almost like what you're doing.
The point simply is, artists are like wine, right? When they brew you and you are young within the space, you are not as strong and as expensive as you should be. The more you last on the shelf, a vintage wine that has lasted for about 20 years will cost more than a wine that was just brewed a couple of years back. So it's the same thing. The more you mature through the space, the more you refine your processes as an artist, then people will trust that the work they buy from you is something that has gone through research, and that your material will not crack or buckle over time. But like a young person who is doing a sketch, he has not even finished with his process. Then he take a snapshot and put it online. The question is, are you trying to impress audiences in the space just to see some few clicks of like, as people appreciate your work, or you want to sit back and then do serious artwork that when you project it, it will call the attention to all those who matter? So these are the questions that needs to be resolved both in the classroom and through time as we have this discussion going. But I think that it is not, like I said earlier, it's not about the manifest. When you do a good work, and people know your work has the right concept, the right color choices, the right imagery, you attract the attention of those who matter, curators, museums, and any other person who is interested to collect your work. But if you make a sketch, you have not even finished with the process, then you take the shot and place it on the net, and then you go through the whole process, it is not helpful. Much as the internet has some pluses or more pluses, there are also negatives. Because you may also find artists copying or plagiarizing other people's work because maybe the artist doesn't have enough ideas, and he found an idea that some young artist is projecting, and then make it into a large, because the artist who is projecting as a young person may not have the muscle, the financial muscle to project himself. So these are the kind of the two sides of the argument, that you should make sure that your work is strong enough, and you should have a couple of them, not just one, probably about 20, to say that this is the processes that I've passed through. And then when you showcase this on the net, people will see that you are a serious artist. But it happens also in music, where these days people don't do a collection of music, they just do one single and then project it. But in time, you realize that those who are serious artists or musicians will come into the space where we all have to judge whether your work, because your work in time, over 20 years, 30 years from now, should be able to speak for itself. As everybody has a concept, but the concept has to come through a skill, and most people are losing out on the skill because the skill part is a bit difficult. So these are the basic things that I've discovered. And then there is another aspect that I've also discovered with the students that we teach, or upcoming artists or budding artists. Normally they tend to like the money more than the job. And they think that money should come first.
Since you own a gallery, you begin to see a lot of this.
Money comes first before the skill, but actually the skill that brings the money. If the skill is your art matures and you put in all the love, somebody will see it hanging in a space and would like to have a piece, and then one work will bring you more clients. But if you think about the money and you forget about the skill, then you are likely to also lose out, because you may miss out some few technicalities. So these are the basic structures that I think we should all look at. If you put love into your work, it will shine, and then other people will find you, and they make it. They will make your work, or your work will help to grow, and then you get the money. But if you put the money before the art, you are not likely to succeed.
You're talking from the perspective of the gallery owner.
Yeah. And when you check also, uniqueness in expression is very, very important. Most people like to just copy other people because, or imitate the way they approach that they work. But like everybody travels or dance in a space, you are looking at how to finish the process. So if you don't originate the main idea, you have to also see the next artist, his move before you move, and that is a bit difficult.
So that's where they get stuck.
So you have to find an original thought, an approach to work, and then follow it through. Gradually, as you grow, people will tend to like you, and there are so many ways of also projecting your art through the space. And these are some of the things that we inculcate into the people who come into our classrooms. But for art, I strongly believe that it is something that should be rejuvenating every single time you see a blank canvas. But sometimes it's scary because you are facing a blank canvas and approaching it becomes a little bit difficult because you want to always improve a bit inch up
from the next,
from the
first
work to the next work to the next work. So every time you are refining your processes and you are trying to make sure that you make a very loud statement on each canvas that you find. So these are the basic tenets that goes around the art practice. But like the realities that we face as people who impart artistic knowledge to students is what prompted me to set up a gallery in the first place. But over time, I've also come to realize that we have to help the students to understand what exists. So the last months back, I took about 6 students under my care while they were doing student internship. And then we found time to meet practicing artists. See, so they have conversation, they ask all their relevant questions. We were able to meet Kwamina Nyako, who is Takrady-based artist. And then we were also privileged to meet Brother Usu Ankuma, who has practiced in Germany and is currently back in Ghana. And we were able to meet Professor Glover in his gallery, and we spoke at length. So then now they understand the concept of what happens. And in all these, art is a business, not necessarily the creative part that is being taught in school. And to understand the dynamics of business, you have to know that as an entrepreneur, one, you should be able to wake up without any assignment given you and start the production. But when you finish the production, how do you do the marketing? If you think you yourself cannot do the marketing, then you have to find somebody who is an art dealer to do the marketing on your behalf. But the difficulty that young people have is they think that when an art dealer who has to go around and do all the linkages for you to have the peace of mind to practice may be taking advantage of them. So they will prefer to do the marketing themselves. And after a period, they hit the rock because they realize that the dynamics, the political terrain is not that smooth for it's not welcoming to budding artists. So somebody who has been there, who knows dealership and who knows how to press the right buttons may like to have a certain kind of fee for that kind of connections that will bring the kind of market or gravitate the market towards your kind of art. So it is incumbent on the student artist or a new art student or a practitioner to understand that if you want to hire the services of a publicist or an art dealer or a gallery owner or somebody else to do your bidding on your behalf in the art market, then you should understand that the person should have a certain kind of leverage and fee. Over time, as you become known in the space, probably that fee will dip, and then you get the kind of contact that you yourself you can mash up, because now people know your art in the space. But if you take it from the angle that I'm an artist, I'm a creator, and I would like to do my sales, you are not a marketer to start with. So now
It's an industry.
yeah, and you have to, yes, you have to.
Have an industry. When you say an industry, the critics are there, the writers are there,
the curators are there.
the curators are there, the gallery owner is there, the museum is there, then the artist himself.
Yeah.
Because as an artist, it's not enough that you have the talent and the work. There is also the part where the artist has to package himself. You know, the days of the rascal artist is no more.
Yeah.
The way the artist projects himself is the way I'll tell myself, I can invest in this artist because I know in the next 10 years his value will go up. Because I can't put my money where it's like stocks and bonds where I'm not sure this company is going to grow. If they will fold up tomorrow, you know. So it's the same thing with what we are doing as artists in studios, where we want to speak to artists who have decided whether there's money or not, this is what
they want to do.
You know. So in the art world, it's the same thing. So when you see that, how would you advise this young artist to say, look, this is a long race. It's not a race for today. You know, as Glover said, they want to make it now. Not today, but now.
Yeah.
You know?
And that is one of the things that is difficult. But my advice simply is put love into what you do. And when you do it with love. It will show. That is the first principle. The other principle is find a mentor in the space, because sometimes we get locked up in our own studio and we are doing what we think is art. Of course, that is what you are creating, but are you creating what the market or what you think is from your heart that somebody will see and appreciate? If there is no love in it, it's difficult for people to see it. Because sometimes when even artists, when you do a particular work and the work have a lot of love in it, you want to keep the work. And that is the kind of works that practicing artists are supposed to do what? To do. So that when you yourself, you don't want to part with the art, then it means that you've gone beyond the ordinary brush and paint. To a realm that other people will appreciate. But when you also decide that you don't want to read art history, you don't want to read marketing around it, how the art market operates, and you just want to practice, then you are likely to find yourself in a tight corner. And that is why a lot of artists do not succeed after 5 years.